Alexandrian, founder of AtoZ Communications, and this is the Brand Stories podcast. This is where we discuss everything related to public relations, marketing, and just branding overall. This week, I have Stone Communications' Dana Stone. She's leveraged her skills to be in both two complex areas, finance and healthcare. We discuss what that's like and how to simplify the complex. Thank you so much for coming on my podcast today. I am excited to talk to you about all things financial communication and then also healthcare communication wise. So how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on.
Of course, anytime. What have you been up to lately, and how's everything been going at Stone Communications?
Doing great. The last couple of years has definitely seen some changes and some shifts. When I started in May of 2023, I really focused on fintech, financial services, that B2B kind of space. And then I got the great opportunity to work with a health system over the last 6 months. And just really getting back to those roots of healthcare has really opened my eyes to see how many similarities there are. What are some of the great stories that are coming out of both industries, and how to take the experience I've had from both and create some great things. So I've really kind of shifted more into healthcare.
Love it. Before we get too much into that, I do have to ask you, the first question I ask every guest is, what's your favorite brand and why?
Oh, that's a great question. So my favorite brand is not one that's going to be like, oh, very cool. It's probably one a lot of people have, but it's Disney World. And let me explain why. So a couple of reasons. One's more of a business side. The other side is very, very personal. But looking at their mission from the company itself is to entertain, inform, and inspire people around the globe through the power of unparalleled storytelling, reflecting the iconic brands, creative minds, and innovative technologies that make ours the world's premier entertainment company. That's a really big one, right? You talk about movie industry, Marvel that they took over, and TV. When you get down to what their original company was, the resort, the different parks, and the Walt Disney World's mission is to create happiness. So the very simple mission, very honest. And you see that with everything they do when they bring in safety and they bring in new rides and things like that to really bring that happiness for people of all ages. From a personal perspective, my father built the Cinderella Castle in Orlando. So he was part of the project management team that created it. We worked very closely with Roy Disney. The day that Walt Disney World opened, we're there. We have this picture of everybody there. And there's a where's Waldo moment. Like we're still trying to find ourselves in that picture. But he was mayor of Buena Vista, which is the technical name of the area there. So, just a lot of personal ties to it. So when you talk about great happiness, I mean, that's a great example. And I was there for most of my life, the first 5 years of my life. So a lot of personal connections to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, if you think of a place, so actually we have a lot in common because that's my favorite brand too. And I'm one of those people lately anyway, if I see the castle from like the end of Main Street, I start that like, oh, it's the castle, I'm home. And you feel like so silly on the one hand being an adult and I'm like crying over the castle.
Oh, absolutely. And the fireworks. I mean, and there's a reason why there's a lot of adult Disney fans, right? Is because it just captures those moments for people. And they do a very good job of doing that. The training that they have to do with employees. And a lot of internal communication goes into that. And they've really figured out how to talk with employees that are in front of people, as well as the ones that are behind the scenes making the magic happen from behind.
Totally. But actually, it's funny that you said that. And so I feel like PR people are basically the people who make the magic happen from behind the scenes. This was sort of the first time that I really put myself out there. I feel like we're always the ones behind the camera who's like, I've got the Tide stick in case you have a stain. And then I also have the great commentary for you. So how does it feel to be the magic behind the scenes?
I love it. There's nothing more for me personally satisfying is when you watch a campaign really come to fruition. You watch a leader go from being in town halls very nervous right before that, knowing that you have all the training, you've done everything you can to support them, and watch them really grow and prosper. I think is really great. I love watching when you put a campaign together and education pieces together and you see people kind of do that aha moment. You see the wheels turning, you see it work. I had an executive that was in New York and we did a big media tour there, and just watching him working with Bloomberg and Fox Business and seeing those ways that he was able to connect about the content. The topic was around digital payments. This is prior to COVID. COVID, and just watching his enthusiasm, because I see it when I talk to him, but then being able to see him do that in front of the camera is really great. And then again, just watching with town halls and watching these leaders really work with their employees and help them really understand and live the mission, and seeing those employees get those aha moments are really great.
Absolutely. So across your career, it sounds like you've had a lot of these great experiences, seeing almost then, and I don't want to reduce clients to that, but like that child that you're prepping and then you see them out on stage and they're performing and it's beautiful and you might even have a tear in your eye, getting back to the castle. But so what has it been like for you throughout your career to have all these momentous experiences?
It's been great. With every career, I think you have opportunities that work really well and opportunities that don't. And you learn from them and you grow from them and you help those folks learn and grow. I think one of the strengths that I have is I like to call myself a complexity sense maker. I like to take very complex topics and really help simplify those. And when I'm able to do that for leaders, when they have a new technology that they're unleashing, or they have a new, maybe they've acquired a company that makes sense for their business, and how do you explain that to your employees to where they understand it and they can grow with that mission as well. And so taking those experiences and helping them do that is really what drives me. And I think both healthcare and financial services are very, very complex. You're talking about industries that have a heart that touch people very, very close to their heart, whether it's their health or their wealth. So really understanding that and understanding that those have a personal connection to people, whether you work there, or whether you're a patient, whether you're a customer, really ties into understanding that build trust, that simplifying complex topics. Understanding how to do that, I think, is really something that I love to do. And I've seen it over and over again, how it works and how it connects with people, both inside and outside of organizations.
Getting back to simplifying the complex, how are you able to do that? Because I think some people assume, like, well, obviously she must be a digital payments expert. How do you take something that's super jargony and then get it to the point that you could have a conversation at the dinner table and people understand exactly what you're saying?
That's a great question. I think it takes a lot of practice. And I think what I try to do, my goal is to be extremely curious. I ask a lot of questions. I spend a lot of time with the leaders. I probably exhaust them to the point of, oh my gosh. But the reason why I start with a very simple, what does this new technology for your nurses, what does this mean?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
For instance, there's a new referral service technology that I'm seeing being implemented in the healthcare system I'm working with. What does that mean? How does that make their lives easier? How does it affect them? I think the biggest challenge right now with healthcare organizations as well as financial systems is there is so much change happening. There is so much going on so fast. And if you read Brene Brown's latest book, Strong Ground, she talks a lot about this. It's a great book. What she talks about is what we're doing is we're piling on new systems, new technology, new processes, all these things, and we're not taking the step back to connect the dots for employees to understand why this works. And so I think that one of the things I do really well is be able to do that. I ask those simple questions. I go back to, if I'm writing a press release, what and where, why, and how. And really get to those bottom lines. That helps you click and get those light bulb moments to really understand what those mean. And then you've got all of these new technologies, all these new systems that are coming into place. Then you add AI to that and where that fits in. And so you have to figure out, when you're meeting with these leaders, that understanding these tools and what they really mean for their employees, what it really means for the industry, really helping them once they get those, because you have to start with the light bulb moment with the leaders who are rolling these out. Once you're able to do that and establish that trust with them to help them understand that they have to have those light bulb moments, that makes it easier to think about the different communication tactics you can do and the different strategies to roll it out for employees and other audiences to understand it. I think what also has helped is I was in the restaurant business for a long time. I was kind of a career college student. I worked in a restaurant and I did everything from business management to bartending to serving to help marketing. And I also worked very closely with the new employees to train them. And I spent a lot of time trying to, I don't always love this word, but I spent a lot of time dumbing down certain things. You're trying to people and trying to help them understand
Yeah.
that if you don't have, a clean counter, you're not able to find the things that you're supposed to be looking for and finding really quickly to get back to the customer to give them that customer service that they need. Just learning those ways of really breaking down complex topics has been something I've been doing for a while, and I think it's been recently I've really understood how that all comes.
Which is a fantastic skill to have. So do you ever get intimidated? I know that I have in my career of I have to ask you this question a million times, or I have to like try to sidestep you into this different way, and I'm worried that I'm coming across to you as being stupid. But what I'm really trying to do is make you say this in plain English in a way that somebody would actually understand. Do you ever grapple with that?
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. I think some of the challenges that I have is, first of all, I'm under 5 foot.
Oh,
So when I meet leaders, I have a tendency to get a little like, oh my gosh, I feel like a little child right now. And a great example is a CEO of a hospital that I'm working with right now. He's 6'7".
oh
So
gosh.
for the first time, I was just like, okay, this feels so intimidating, but I have to remind myself that stature's not as important, but with that interpersonal communication can definitely do that. So I think one of the things that for me, what I try to do is the very first thing I have to do is set comfort zones with the leader. I need to explain to them that, yes, I have all this experience. And yes, I've dabbled into your industry, but just remember that I am not the expert. And my job is to help you understand that you're not, you know, people you're talking to are not the experts. So trying to help them get that comfort zone, and that sometimes uses humor and sometimes it is repeating it. And I think, and one of the tricks that I do is I always step back, give at least 3 to 5 seconds after they've spoken, take a breath. I paraphrase what was told me and see if it's clicking. And there's a difference between them going, "Yep, that makes sense, sure," to oh, yes, that and a lot of times when you get the "and" is really the story that you really wanna tell. Just being able to back up. I used to go, "Oh my gosh," really timid, like, "I don't really understand this. Help me understand this." I'm the devil, right? And I've really moved away from that because it has a tendency sometimes to go the wrong direction. Really giving them that chance to breathe, take a step, and then you paraphrasing in a way that you think that makes sense, and when you get to that yes and, that's really the really meaty stuff that you can get. My advice is to just always breathe, take a step back, paraphrase, see what happens.
So first of all, having known you for a little bit, I wouldn't consider you a dumb blonde at all. And in fact, given your experience with the Cinderella Castle, I would argue that you are Cinderella and just one of those women who, until you get to the ball, you don't realize the power and whatnot that you wield, but you have it. So I hope that you can embrace some of that.
Oh, that's so sweet. My daughter would say, "Oh, but I get the slippers." So there you go. Thank you. That's very sweet.
When it comes to somebody who wants to get into PR and especially into complex topics like you were saying with healthcare and with finance, what would you encourage them to do to be able to say, yeah, you know what, up until this job, I had no idea anything about finance, but I'm going to do this?
So the first thing I would do is join organizations on your campus. Like I know PRSA, Public Relations Society of America, has student associations on campus. Those are great. I'm actually a professional advisor for Colorado State University and do
Nice.
some of the work. And what's great about those associations is they're not just clubs; they're professional development. So they bring in different organizations. When I was in college at Florida State, we had guest speakers from Nike, McCormick's. And if you talk about Nike, and at the time in the 90s, not to age myself, but in the 90s, you're talking Michael Jordan, you're talking about how the brand really exploded. So really hearing those stories helps you kind of connect those dots. McCormick Spices, very interesting industry. You're talking about investors that still wear overalls and still are out in the fields and the farming and what that means. And just because they're wearing overalls doesn't mean that they don't have huge financial influence. And that's a complicated system as well. So getting those kind of experiences, I would say, if you can, and I think everyone knows this now, but internships are really important. Know that they're, unfortunately, I personally believe that all internships should be paid, but I know there's a lot of industries and organizations that either can't or aren't willing to pay. But internships are very important. I also think that LinkedIn can be your very best friend. You just go in there and you just the way that LinkedIn is set up these days, it's really easy to find those folks that are willing to talk to you. A lot of people forget that people just want to hear your story. And young kids pick up the phone. Okay. Don't be
That's
afraid
amazing.
of the phone, right? And I don't mean pick up the phone to text. I mean to pick it up, put it to your ear, and have a conversation.
Yep.
People are needing to connect, particularly those of us that are that Gen X generation. I mean, we're very used to picking up the phone. Just
Yep.
an email. Oh, can you email me or can we just Teams? A lot of times that's helpful, but there's also, especially when you're getting to know people, a 15-minute chat, whether it's something like this, you're on the phone, it goes just miles and miles and miles for you, for your career, for you to connect. One of my favorite sayings is by Maya Angelou, and it's about the way you make people feel. I'm paraphrasing that, but you want people to come away as meeting you as a trusted partner, as someone that has a strong presence and willing to learn. And another great book I brought this into was Power Questions. I learned this recently by Andrew Sobel and Gerald Panas. I'm not sure I'm saying that right, but it's a great book. It really just kind of gets you into, I think one of the challenges is we forget as professionals and also those new coming into the industry, questions go a long way in asking those questions and feeling uncomfortable. But it's when you really ask the questions is really where you get to the meat of things. And this Power Questions book helps you just, you don't have to know all of them, but to really dive into under being comfortable asking questions, being inquisitive, being curious. People like you who have that reporter background, you know how to ask those questions, you know how to be inquisitive. Not everybody does, but there are definitely some tools out there to help you do that. And the earlier you learn that in your career, ask those questions, be curious, reach out to people, build those connections, understand your presence as a curious person, that will go a long way.
Absolutely. I think one of the key things, though, with doing somebody justice when you're doing their PR is being asking the tough questions. So being able to anticipate, like, yes, we're announcing XYZ thing, but the third ripple out is going to be something that could be bad. And we should know what the answer is going to be because you don't want to get caught off guard. How do you like prep yourself and your clients for those kind of situations?
It's very case by case basis. There's some people that don't want to dive to the bad places, if you will,
Yeah.
the dark side. But I think it's very important that you do. I think reminding them the importance of building trust, being like, if we want people to trust us and if we want our employees to understand why we're doing this, we have to plan for the unexpected,
Yep.
especially with town halls. You never know what people are going to ask. And I usually say, I know that this is the part no one wants to do, but let's just dive into it. And I can help you. My job is to help you get through these situations.
Yep.
It's not just to throw you out for the wolves, but to be prepared for those questions because people have a lot of questions. Right now, people are feeling a lot. And so they're going to look through the cracks. I mean, you're talking about employees and employees that just don't have trust right now. And so if you want to be a leader who understands the importance of trust, you're going to have to get to those tough questions. And I think the leaders that aren't comfortable with it, but know they have to, are great. Some of those are my favorite because those are the light bulb moments you get. If you prepare them ahead of time and they get that question and they're able to answer it in a way that the employees kind of shake their head, yes, that's when they click and go, right, because that's what I need to do. And the next, my favorite is always those executives who fight what you're trying to do,
Yeah.
but your prediction comes true and you do get those questions and those tough questions, they are able to answer it and they come back and they're like, yep, I got this. And so the next time you plan, they're like, okay, let's get to those tough questions. Let's get right. You're like,
Yeah.
yes, got it. She got it. Understands. Those are the great moments.
And that's building trust from the PR person to the leader too. I'm not asking you because I'm looking to embarrass you or make you feel awful or whatever. I'm trying to ask you because I want you to present yourself the best and I don't want you to get thrown off. So I give you credit for doing that.
Yeah, well, thank you. Experience teaches us all that.
Yes, it does. So, for anybody who's interested in Stone communication, are there any particular types of clients that you want to work with? Obviously, you can handle both the intricacies of finance and healthcare.
Yeah, I would specialize in healthcare systems, hospital systems, financial services, and they can be actual banks. They can be crypto and they can be fintech. I think those are kind of my spots. I also have a sweet spot for nonprofits. I think a lot of us too that are in PR, we have those bleeding hearts. I've done a lot of work with child advocacy centers. I've done a lot of work with associations like PRSA and education nonprofits. Done a lot of work locally with Douglas County Schools here where I live in Colorado. So I would say that those that have really big problems, don't be afraid to come to me with questions and how do we combat those. I would say that those are probably the bigger issues. Is I have names in my head that I would love.
Well, I mean, if you want to shout them out, but yeah, you never know which way that's going to go.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Walt Disney World, you can call me.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, that's been one of my dreams too. I feel like by the end of my career, if I were to land at Walt Disney World, I'd be like, you know what, I can retire now. I'm good.
I'm good now. I've checked a huge box in my bucket list. Absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Well, so thank you so much, and continued best wishes to you.
Well, I just appreciate you doing this and educating people and getting people to talk and connect. And this has been great. So thank you. I look forward to seeing you on LinkedIn.
Oh, thank you. Thank
All
you.
right.